Hello learners, welcome to another module of Introduction to Data Science using AI assistant tools. In the past few modules, we have learnt about data science, what is data science, how do we employ data science, data visualization in some metrics of descriptive statistics. I am Dr. Vishwas KuKreti and today we will be starting our module 6 on spread and variability. Now, before we get into the core examples of spread and variability, let's take a real life example. Consider you are a vegetable vendor. One week you feel the prices are steady, it's easy for you to plan your inventory. The next week the prices are jumping wildly and it's risky to buy in bulk because the prices might fall down and might encourage a loss. However, the average price could stay the same for both weeks. Now, the same mandi would feel very different on both weeks. Now, let's take an example. For example, in week 1, if the tomato prices are rupees 20, 21, 22, 21, 20, the average stays rupees 20.8. Now, for another week, if the tomato prices are rupees 15, rupees 18, rupees 25, rupees 28, rupees 18, the average still remains rupees 20.8. But you can see by the numbers, the mean stays the same, but the week 2 is much more unpredictable. For the week 1, whereas the prices go from rupees 20 to 22, the week 2 is much more volatile. The prices vary from rupees 15 to all the way rupees 28. Week 2 is much more predictable and it's much more difficult to plan your inventory. Now, why does this matter? This spread or this change, the difference in values is termed as volatility. Now you must ask the question, why does volatility matter? For high volatility or times where the prices are spread across different prices, it's difficult to plan your purchases, which was in the case of our week 2. This becomes risky for small vendors with limited cash. And we know one of the major descriptive statistic, mean, hides this critical information. So, if the mean does not tell us this information, what do we need? We need to measure the spread in our values. Now, what is spread? So, the word spread or the metric spread tells us how dispersed the data is around the center. Taking the example of our tomato prices, we can ask, how consistent are our prices? Do they stay same across the week or do they vary wildly? How risky it is to plan an inventory based on that. Today we'll be learning few measures of spread and see how they can help us in data science. Before we begin describing spread, let's quickly recap what is mean. As you all can recall, mean is the central or the average value. You add all values and divide by the number of count. For example, if the prices of tomato were 20, 22, 18, 25, 30, 19 and 21, you would add all them up and then divide by the number of values, which is 7, which would give you a metric of rupees 22.14. Now, what does this mean tell us about risk? As we know, mean tells us about the center of the data set, not the variation. It tells us what the typical value is for a data set, but not how far across the values are in a data set. In realistic sense, this would mean two markets with same mean can have very different risk, and we would need additional measures to quantify that risk. To quantify that risk, we need the metric spread or variability. So, spread would tell us how dispersed the data points are around the center. Now, you might encounter spread also being called as variability, dispersion or scatter. Now, what does spread actually tell us? Spread tells us is the data tightly clustered or widely scattered across the mean. As we saw in the tomato examples, for the week 1, the data was tightly clustered across rupees 20. However, for the week 2, the data was widely scattered from prices going from 18 to 28. Now, this brings us to consistency versus unpredictability. When you have a low spread, the data is consistent and predictable. However, when you have a high spread, the data is much more variable, much more vast and much more spread, and hence much more unpredictable. For example, consider a government ration shop versus a commercial ration shop. In a government shop, the prices stay consistent and you know how much sugar you can buy with rupees 50. However, if you go to the market to buy sugar, you are dependent on the shopkeeper's assessment of prices. So, spread is required to make an informed decision given the data. Now, why spread should matter for small vendors? As we have talked about a government shop versus a commercial market shop, it tells us how much cash to keep ready. It helps us in understanding financial uncertainty. Also, it tells us how to buy, how much to buy, do I buy too little or do I buy too more to handle my inventory. And this all comes together as operational planning. Can I trust tomorrow's prices? If I buy something today, can I sell it higher tomorrow or will I incur a loss? So, spread is really useful for small vendors as well as for data science students. Now, let's begin understanding how can we quantify the spread. The first measure we can use to quantify the spread is called range. Now, you must have used range in various terms. Range, as the name suggests, is the difference between the maximum value and the minimum value. Now, what does range tell us? Range very easily shows us the total spread from lowest to highest, and it's the easiest measure to calculate since we are just calculating the difference between the maximum value and the minimum value. Let's take an example when we are calculating range. Consider an example where the tomato prices vary from 18 rupees, 19, 20, 21, 22, 25 to 30. Looking at the data set, we can see the maximum price is rupees 30, whereas the minimum price here is rupees 18. So, the spread here is to be calculated by a range. You can easily do that. You pick up the maximum value here, which is rupees 30, and you pick up the minimum value here, which is rupees 18. The difference between them will tell you the spread in the price ranges. So, the spread here becomes rupees 12. This tells us the extreme values the tomato prices can take in a week. So, the tomato prices can swing from plus 12 to minus 12 during the week. Now, let's interpret that range. As I have mentioned, a range of rupees 12 means prices vary by rupees 12. Range helps us to capture the extreme differences because we are calculating the difference between the maximum and the minimum. It becomes a quick way to assess the total variation in your data set. However, the range has a limitation. Since we are only using two values, which are the maximum value and the minimum value, we are ignoring all other data points in between. And consider a case where the prices of tomatoes became extremely large, let's say rupees 100 due to a strike. Now, would the typical price of a tomato be rupees 100? It's very difficult. The range is very sensitive to outliers. So, we would need a measure which is not sensitive to outliers. As we have discussed in our descriptive statistic class, outliers are data points which fall way outside of our distributions. Now, before we move on to better metrics of range, let's use our AI assistant tools to calculate the range of a data. Let's do an example to calculate range. If you can see on your screen, there is a prompt which you can put to your ChatGPT. The prompt says, write Python code to calculate the range of this list of tomato prices. The prices are given as rupees 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 25 and 30. You can also ask ChatGPT to write the Python code to calculate maximum, minimum in the range clearly. Now, ChatGPT produces this Python code which is visible on the screen. So, it says the prices are in an array. So, it says the prices are 18, 19 all the way to 30. The way to calculate minimum price is very simple. Python provides you a keyword which you can use to calculate the minimum. So the minimum price here is keyword min price. Similarly, maximum price is also very easy to calculate. You can just do max and of price. And as we know, we can calculate range by subtracting the minimum value from the maximum value, and that would give us the range. So that's what we do while we calculate our price range. So max price minus min price would give us the range. As you can see, the minimum price is rupees 18, maximum price is rupees 30, and the range of price becomes 12. Now see, this is the use of using AI assistant tools in data science. We can simply prompt the AI assistant tool to give us the required code, and we can run it on Google Colab. The heavy lifting is done by the AI assistant tools, while we can work more on logic. Now let's see how a same range can show different spreads. Consider an example of a dataset A. So dataset A contains 7 values, rupees 18, rupees 30, and 5 values at rupees 24. Now let's see, the range still here remains rupees 12. For another dataset B, the prices vary from rupees 18, 20, 22, 25, 28, and all the way to rupees 30. The range for both of these datasets remains the same. It's the maximum value 30 minus the minimum value, which is rupees 12. But you can see that both of these datasets have very different internal patterns, even though they show the same range. Now why is that? Let's look at this visual example. In the dataset A, you would see the minimum value rupees 18, the maximum value is rupees 30, and the rest of the 5 values rupees 24 clustered around. However, dataset B is much more widely scattered. It starts all the way from 18, 20, 22 and uniformly scattered till 30. Now see, both of these show the same range. However, do they tell us the typical value in a week? They do not. However, if the ranges are different, you can say the typical value for dataset A would still be around rupees 24. And for dataset B, it would be around rupees 24 also. But even though the ranges are different, you would expect a value to be clustered around rupees 24 if you talk about dataset A, while you cannot make the same observation about dataset B. So we would need a measure which uses all the data to calculate the spread. One limitation of our range is it ignores most of the data. Even though we had 7 values in our data set, we were interested in only the maximum value and the minimum value, which was rupees 18 and rupees 30. Hence, we ignored most of the other data which is useful for us. This tells us we need better measures which consider every single value in our data set. Which brings us to interesting metrics of spread, which are variance and standard deviation. Now, what is variance and how does variance account for every value in the data set? Consider variance as an average squared distance from mean. So we know what mean is. Mean is a typical value or a center value across which all the points are clustered. Now variance tells us how far apart are the values from this typical center point. This uses every single data point in the data set and is hence more informative than range. Now you can ask the question, if it's squared deviation, why do we square deviation? There is a problem when we are calculating deviation. So deviation or spread is how far apart the values are from the mean. Consider a data set where the mean value is 6. Now for a data point 3, the difference between the mean value and the value 3 would be minus 3. However, the difference between mean value 6 and an extreme value 9 would be 3. If we want to compare the deviation without standardizing them, without squaring them, minus 3 and plus 3 would sum to 0. However, the deviation would collapse, which is what we do not want. The solution is very simple and elegant. If we square them, we know the deviation. So minus 3 square gives us plus 9 and plus 3 square also gives us 9. So we calculate the deviations squared and not as single numbers. As you can see on your screen, the formula for variance is quite simple. It says x minus mu squared upon n. X here denotes every single data point in your data set, whereas mu denotes the mean or the center value of your data set. So what does this formula say? For every value, we subtract the mean from the value, square it and divide it by the number of observations, and that tells us the variance of the data set. It's very simple and an elegant way to measure the spread across the data set. Now let's calculate variance step by step. Consider an example where the prices vary from rupees 20 to rupees 30. So the different prices are rupees 20, 22, 18, 25, 30, 19 and 21. The first step in calculating the variance is to calculate the mean. If we add all of these together and divide by 7, we would get the mean. The mean for all of these prices is rupees 22.14. The step 2 is to find deviation of each value from mean. Now we know we have the values 20, 22 all the way to 21 and we know the mean. So in the next step we subtract 22.14 from 20, which gives us different values as 2.14 minus 0.14 minus 4.14, 2.86, 7.86 minus 3.14 and minus 1.14. Now the trick of squaring comes them into place. We square all of our deviations, which gives us 4.58, 0.02, 17.14 all the way to 1.30. Now we sum all of these squared deviations. The sum of all these squared deviations gives us 102.86. Now we know we had 7 values and it's very easy to calculate variance now. To calculate variance, what we can do is we can use the number of values and divide the sum of squared deviations by it. So the sum of squared values was 102.86 and the number of values is 7. Dividing 102.86 by 7 gives us the value 14.69. Now 14.69 is a measure of variance or spread in our data set. Larger the variance, more the instability. It tells us how far apart is a typical value from the mean. However, the variance also faces the problem. You would see when we squared the prices, the variance became in squared units and our variation was 14.69 rupees square. Now you can ask a very genuine question, what does 14.69 rupees square mean? In physically it does not mean anything, hence we want a measure in the original units. Now we have understood things. However, for this module we can wrap here. In the next module we will understand how can we move beyond center and understand much more variability and understand distributions. That's for now. Thank you.